We had Daryl Morey of the Sixers on, and I conducted a seminar with J.J. Watt for his MIT Sloan Sports Conference. And, he said that baseball's ahead of basketball in analytics, which is way ahead of the NFL. But you're at the forefront of this, it appears. What is the future of analytics in the NFL, do you think, Coach John Harbaugh?
That's a great question. I mean, it's going to definitely come into play more and more. I was just having that conversation with Eric DeCosta about an hour ago in terms of trying to find, the measurables. I mean, it's just a different game. Baseball, maybe, my dad would say it's the greatest game, probably also the simplest game in terms of, measuring whether it's how fast the ball comes off the bat or where the ball gets hit. I mean, you can draw a bunch of lines up and there it is, and then you've got basketball, which is 5-on-5. It's kind of a free-flowing deal. I've seen all the spots in the court where the shots come from and all those kind of things. Those are, pretty measurable things. There's a lot of layers to football, and it's not like there's not repeatable all the time. It's not repeatable like pitches and swings, are more repeatable. You've got all these different kind of things that you've got to try to measure. So you can track speed and you can track plays and formations and personnel groups on the field. We're doing all that, and we're trying to figure out how to measure change of direction, closing speed, those kind of things. Stuff mainly to confirm kind of what you see with your eye when you evaluate players, and maybe we can find some things that are, things that you can count on in terms of measurables. So many times it's like, what makes a good wide receiver? And it's like, well, you come up with a couple things and somebody breaks the mold the very next time, So it's just a different kind of sport, It's 22 guys and it's a complicated game, and, you've got every kind of different big guys, little guys, fast guys, quick guys, smart guys. It's hard to figure out, it's hard to repeat all these measurements. So I'm not a math guy. I never went to MIT Sloan. I really don't know what that even is. But
right, it's Daryl Morey's annual conference about analytics and sports and analytics. And you're a sports fan too. I mean, I'm sure you saw in the World Series last year Kevin Cash lifting Blake Snell in the middle of Game 6 and what that meant, and how it turned the tide for the Dodgers. And the reason why I bring that up is it just seems to be a constant push-pull of gut and feel versus what the numbers tell you. Do you use analytics more often about when you go for it based on where you are in the field position, based on the score? Do you have something like that?
Yeah.
Is that when you use it too? Deciding when to go for two, something like that?
Yeah, I mean that's part. I think that builds the frame, but you can't make that decision based on it. It's like, and these are the kind of the conversations you have with the analytics guys, because the math guys will tell you to go for it all these different number of times, but there's really not that many. There's not that many even historically fourth down situations that you can really measure. So the more you get, the more that number is going to kind of come back to the middle and back to the mean. And like I tell our analytics guys, I don't want to be the guy with all of our fourth down, misses to bring that back to the mean. I want to go for it when we're going to get it, And that's what people have generally done over the years. They've gone for it in the most favorable situations where they think they're going to get it. So those success numbers are a little higher than they really would be. Sometimes maybe even 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 is a better way to measure whether you're going to make it on 4th down. So how do you really measure that? Then, all of a sudden someone shoots into a gap and there's a stop and it costs you the game. Well, you can say, well, yeah, but the analytics said we should have gone for it. Well, our fans really don't want to hear that either, right? So in the end, just like in baseball, just whether you're pulling a pitcher or not, you want to go with what you think is going to work. So, how are we blocking? How do I feel about their defensive line? Do they look a little gassed? Did they substitute somebody recently? There's a lot of different things that go into. Sometimes it's your quarterback screaming from the field, say, Coach, go for it, which Lamar has done too. So, that moves me a little bit too, Hey,
you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.